Why tech giants are secretly obsessed with the 2,500-year-old Chinese military manual. Picture this. You're scrolling through your social media feed at 2 in the morning, and you genuinely believe you're in control. You think you're choosing what to watch, what to click, what to care about. But what if I told you that you lost control the second you opened the app? What if the real battle already ended before you even realized there was a war? This isn't some conspiracy theory. It's Sun Tzu, The Art of War, written 25 centuries ago, and somehow it's become the secret playbook for every major tech company building AI systems today. The engineers at Google, Amazon, they're not just coding, they're studying ancient military strategy. And once you understand why, you'll never look at technology the same way again. Sun Tzu's core principle was simple, but devastating. Win without fighting. Make your enemy defeat themselves. And that's exactly what modern algorithms do. They don't force you to do anything. They study you. They learn your patterns, your triggers, your weaknesses. Then they create an environment where you willingly give them exactly what they want. Your time, your attention, your data, your money. Think about recommendation systems. Netflix doesn't just show you random movies. It predicts what will keep you watching. YouTube doesn't suggest random videos. It calculates what will make you stay on the platform for hours. These aren't accidents. These are deliberate strategies rooted in ancient warfare principles. Know your enemy. Exploit their vulnerabilities. Win before they realize they're losing. But here's where it gets personal. Sun Tzu wrote, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." The problem is most people don't know themselves. They don't understand their own patterns, their own weaknesses, their own psychological triggers. And in this digital age, that ignorance is deadly. The AI doesn't care about you. It cares about patterns. And you're completely predictable. Every click, every scroll, every pause, it's all data. And that data gets weaponized against you every single day. Not with guns, not with violence, but with precision psychological warfare that Sun Tzu would absolutely respect. Now here's the shift. If they're using Sun Tzu against you, why aren't you using Sun Tzu for yourself? High performance in the modern world isn't about working harder. It's about thinking like a strategist. It's about understanding the game before you play. It's about turning every decision into a calculated move, not an emotional reaction. If this is hitting different, drop a comment. Warfare. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button because we're going deep. Smash the like too. How ethical hackers became modern-day philosophers who break everything. Let's talk about people who see the world differently. Hackers. Not the criminals wearing hoodies in dark rooms. I'm talking about ethical hackers. The ones who look at any system and immediately ask, where's the weakness? Because here's what nobody tells you about peak performance. It's not about following rules. It's about understanding rules so deeply that you know exactly when to break them. The best hackers aren't the ones with the most tools. They're the ones with the right mindset. They think like the system thinks. They anticipate defenses before attacking. They don't react. They engineer outcomes. And where does that come from? Obsessive curiosity. The refusal to accept, because that's how it's always been done. An ethical hacker will spend days, weeks, months trying to find one single vulnerability, not to destroy, but to improve. To prove there's always a better way. To demonstrate that every system has a flaw waiting to be discovered. Now apply that to yourself. How often do you question the systems in your own life? Is your morning routine actually effective, or are you just repeating what you've always done? Are your habits taking you where you want to go, or are you on autopilot? The hacker mindset is about asking these uncomfortable questions and demanding real answers. The samurai did this. Sun Tzu did this. And hackers do this. They're all archaeologists of reality. They dig deep, search for hidden truth, refuse to settle for surface-level understanding. And when they find the exploit, they execute with surgical precision. But here's the mind-blowing twist. The biggest vulnerability doesn't exist in external systems. It exists in you, in your digital addictions, in your inability to say no, in your desperate need for constant validation. And until you hack yourself, you'll keep getting hacked by everyone else. The question isn't whether you're being hacked. You are, every single day. The question is, are you going to hack back? Comment, hacker, like this if it's making you think. Subscribe if you want more. What samurai warriors knew about productivity that Silicon Valley just rediscovered. Forget everything you know about motivation for a second. Because motivation is garbage. It's unreliable. It disappears exactly when you need it most. And the samurai figured this out centuries ago. They didn't build their legendary performance on motivation. They built it on something far more powerful: discipline and radical clarity. A samurai woke up knowing that day might be his last. Not in a dramatic way, in a realistic way. And you know what that created? Absolute focus. Zero distraction. Every movement had intention. Every decision was deliberate. They didn't have time for procrastination, for self-sabotage, for scrolling through feeds. Death was always present, reminding them that time is the only resource that never comes back. Now, tell me something honest. How many times did you wake up today with that kind of clarity? How many times did you treat your time like your most precious asset? The truth hurts, but it needs to be said. Most people live on autopilot. They react to the world instead of creating their world. And the samurai? They created every single second of their lives. Here's where it gets fascinating. There's a concept from bushido that completely changed how I see productivity. Mushin, the mind of no mind. It's the perfect flow state where you don't think, you act. Where technique becomes instinct. And where do we see this today? In the best athletes, in top entrepreneurs, in elite coders. They all access this state of mushin where ego disappears and pure performance takes over. But there's a secret here most people miss. Samurai didn't reach the state by accident. They trained daily. Repetition, discipline, ritual. There wasn't a day they weren't ready. And here's the brutal connection to modern technology. The best machine learning algorithms work exactly the same way. They repeat, adjust, improve, repeat again. No ego, no drama, just execution. What if you applied this to your routine? What if every day was deliberate training, not desperate improvisation? Think about the difference between someone who trains with intention versus someone who only shows up when they feel inspired. One becomes a master, the other stays forever mediocre. The samurai mindset isn't about being perfect. It's about being present, about respecting the process, about understanding that high performance is built in the daily grind, in small choices, in moments when nobody's watching. It's about ritual over motivation, system over inspiration. Comment, discipline, hit that like. If this is resonating, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Why Machiavelli predicted AI domination 500 years before Silicon Valley existed. Final layer, and maybe the most disturbing one. We need to talk about Machiavelli, the guy everyone loves to hate, the Prince of Darkness in political philosophy. But here's what nobody tells you. Machiavelli wasn't evil. He was realistic. And his realism is more alive today than ever before. Because Machiavelli understood one fundamental truth. Power isn't about being good. It's about being effective. And artificial intelligence? It has no morals. It has efficiency. It doesn't ask if something is right or wrong. It asks if it works. And that's exactly Machiavellian logic operating at global scale. Look at social media platforms. They don't care if content is true. They care if it generates engagement. Look at recommendation algorithms. They don't care if something is good for you. They care if you'll click. That's machine morality. Results above everything. And Machiavelli wrote the manual for this 500 years ago. But there's a side to this coin that's pure gold for anyone seeking high performance. Machiavelli also taught that you must control your own narrative. That perception matters more than reality. That how you position yourself in the world defines your power. That appearance often trumps substance. And here's the brutal connection to the digital era. Your personal brand, your profile, your online presence. All of this is pure Machiavellianism. It's not about being authentic. It's about being strategic. It's not about showing who you are. It's about showing who you want people to think you are. And before you judge me, stop and think. Everyone does this. The difference is some do it consciously and others unconsciously. Today's great leaders understand this. They know that controlling the narrative is controlling the game. And AI is being used for exactly that. To shape perceptions, to influence decisions, to create parallel realities. The battlefield moved from physical space to mental space. And most people don't even realize they're fighting. So here's the grand finale. Sun Tzu teaches you strategy. Samurai teach you discipline. Hackers teach you to think differently. And Machiavelli, he teaches you that the world isn't fair. That high performance demands you be ruthless with your choices. That you can't wait for things to happen. You must make them happen. This is the archaeology of success. It's not pretty, it's not easy, but it's real. And if you want to stand out in an era dominated by thinking machines, you need to think like history's greatest strategists thought. No excuses, no shortcuts, just pure, calculated execution. Comment, ruthless, like this, subscribe, and share with someone ready for this truth.